Good evening, good evening, good evening. I hope we find everybody in good health tonight. Hey, Billy. Glad to have you, sir. Okay, come on, come on. Why aren't you playing? Hey, John, welcome from Louisiana. John from Louisiana, welcome, welcome. Looks like we're getting a slow start today with Billy and yourself, John. Glad to have you in here tonight. Sharing is caring, guys. Please share this with friends, family, those who might benefit. If you know of a group that might benefit from this, share it to a group. See if we can get some more people watching our feed. Deborah, welcome. Glad you made it tonight. All right, Richard. Glad you got a date official. Yeah, I'm already maxed out on my sharing ability for the day, and that was just with morning medicine and Raymond. So, not that I even know how to do it on this computer, but working on the computer, on the phone, it was a lot easier, but on a computer, it's really tough on my end, at least. What's your date, Richard? What's your move-in date here? April. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Little Johnny for the morning, for the evening, while we're waiting on a few more people to join in. We've got a total of 5 of us. Of course, Richard. That would be the weekend it would be, wouldn't it? Everybody will be at the cup. Everybody will be at the cup. Sounds like you might be living out of a trailer for the weekend and moving in on Monday, brother. Although I'm sure we can figure something out. Find some people somehow or another. All right, guys. We can just go ahead and get started. We got 8 of us. We got a little announcements going. Wanted to let everybody know, be sure and get your tickets in advance for the Cannabis Cup. We have family who are entered. Uh, Johnny Randolph, our music, actually has a sauce entered in the edibles category, or in I don't know exactly how they're going to do that. It's kind of dependent upon how many entries they have per category, how they divide the categories up. So, but he does have a savory edible entered in the cup. So we'll have to see how that comes out for him. I've had it. I think it's fantastic. So I encouraged him to enter it. So I guess I'm part of the reason he did. But other than the fact it is good, it is very good. So Johnny Randolph, big shout out for the music, the official music of the Mother Plant Network. Uh, Johnny helps out quite a bit with some great music, and he keeps us out of trouble, guys. So, okay, other sponsors of the network. We have Robin Selig, Selig Brothers Construction. Anything you can need for construction, they can get it taken care of. Give them a call, get a free estimate. Numbers 405 404 1636. Selig Brothers Construction 405 404 1636. Okay. Do believe we still have Hopes and Greens as a sponsor for our network. Carla up at Hopes and Greens, Edmond Road, and Portland. Edmond and Portland, far north, Hefner Parkway and Portland Avenue as we get through the construction right there. Hopes and Greens Dispensary, give them a shout out. Go see them. They do have some really nice stuff. I've had their chocolate and was really impressed with it. It was nice. So go see them. This is Cannabis Strategies 101 with me. My name's James. The professor, Johnny Randolph, gave me the professor moniker, but my name's James. Don't feel threatened. We're going to talk tonight about wellness. Just last month, the state issued the county wellness scores, and I spent a big part of the day going over county wellness scores, looking at the healthiest and the not healthiest. And Oklahoma County, I love you, but y'all not some healthy folks. Y'all are not some healthy folks. Canadian County, on the other hand, Canadian County are some pretty healthy folks. It's funny considering some of the places in Canadian County, but based on the statistics, based on the numbers, that's what they've got. Okay, let's see. Johnny was going to be here. I knew this song would bring him out. Hey, Karen, how are you? Josh, glad to see you, sir. All right. Today we're going to talk about concept we brought up the very first night, talking about whole person wellness. Wellness from a whole person perspective, so that it encompasses all of us, all of the different things that make us who we are. And we're going to, oh, great. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Whole person wellness is a really interesting concept when you look at the fact that it literally truly does encompass the whole person. I'm going to put up a little wheel. This is the 6 dimensions of wellness. And when I talked the first night, I talked about 4. I left out occupational and spiritual. Not 2 of my strong suits to talk about, but definitely things we need to talk about. And the wheel here, I'll try to get it up so I can see as well or something. There, that's better. So we look at spiritual, intellectual, social, physical, occupational, and emotional. And the way they break them down is just a little bit different. So I'm actually going to have to read it to you simply because I don't use it that often enough. I work in a couple of these areas, not the whole thing. Just because those are my strong suits and I rely on other professionals to take care of their areas. Start with the emotional wellness. And it talks, when they talk about emotional awareness, they talk more about how the individual feels about themselves, whether their health is good, whether their uh, behaviors are acceptable, are they accepting of themselves and situation that they're in or what's going on in their life. Do they have coping mechanisms, stress coping mechanisms in place? Do they have family and friend support? Do they have an emotional support network? The next one is intellectual wellness, and they talk more. Intellectual wellness is about how we think about ourselves and interact with others. It's not so much about intellect as far as knowledge or good student or things like that, but it's more about intersocial relationships, interpersonal relationships with individuals, and are you comfortable with them? Can you function well in that category? Uh, if you found yourself in a room with not knowing anybody, could you strike up a conversation with somebody? And could you cope with that? I know some of our people that attend our sessions, and well, I haven't seen the name pop up yet. They normally attend lots of the Mother Plant Network because they don't get out the house. They don't want to get out the house. They don't feel comfortable getting out the house. So for them, that wouldn't do much good. They wouldn't be very accomplished in their intellectual dimension of wellness. So that would be one of their working points. Physical wellness, promotion of physical safety, activities for prevention of heart disease, endurance, muscle strength, balance, flexibility, the ability to move around and be able to get around on your own, not fall down all the time. Uh, if a person has a disability, how they actually cope with that disability, and can they work to um, overcome problems associated with that disability. We're going to talk a little later during this session about the full moon medicated hike coming up. We have one individual where, if she was in town, would attend. Now, hopefully, she'll be able to walk the biggest part of it this next time when she attends. But she has attended the medicated hikes in wheelchair and moving her own wheelchair down the path, simply because that was important for her. Her son would have pushed her, but it was more important to her that she move herself down the path during the hike and do that. So both physical and for her emotional, that accomplishment, emotional accomplishment of being successful at the hike were tremendous things. So everything, like I say, tends to work together as we talk about these different things. We talk about physical health. Right alongside the physical health comes the mental health portion of it. And if you benefit one, you benefit the other. It just, they work hand in hand. The whole person. Social wellness promotes and creates maintaining healthy relationships. Can have healthy relationships with others. Uh, it helps us be interactive with others and nature and life around us. Uh, Feeling of correctness or contentness. Quality of relationships plays a big one. And they want to have, they recommend that there be both physical relationship, as in you go out and meet somebody for a cup of coffee and talk to them, get a hug as you go your separate ways, shake hands, hug, say hi, whatever you do, and go your separate ways. But can you do that as well as fostering a social network? so that you have more than just one person you can do that with. Have several people, or maybe you could meet 2 or 3 people for lunch once a month. Maintain social relationships. Interesting. Spiritual. Seeking meaning and purpose in human existence. Now, that's a deep one. As I say, this is not my area of expertise. Uh, Strong sense of values and ethics. Now, values and ethics I do have a strong sense of, but I don't do well talking about some of the other topics. Uh, Development and appreciation for the depth and expanse of life and natural forces that exist in the universe. Some of that's a little deep for me. I don't function well at those levels. However, values, I do have personal values that I hold dear, and I have ethics, and I expect ethical behavior of others. That's simply one of my values. I expect ethical behavior of others. Vocational and occupational wellness. Achieving positive personal and occupational goals and interests. So are we accomplishing things in our occupational life? Do we have goals? Are we getting there? Are we working toward them? How effectively are we getting there? How successful are we at achieving those goals? Do you feel good about your contributions to life, to the world, to your community, to your social network? Uh, that would certainly be involved in that section. So as I say, it talked about the different levels that wellness, when we talk about wellness, the many different ideas that it surrounds. And if you think about these, many of these things we talk about interconnect and work together. Uh, when they interconnect and work together, we accomplish more than one goal at a time. One of the largest health problems uh, rated as number one cause of death, ages 39 and up in Oklahoma County, was cardiovascular disease. Their heart killed them. Their ticker killed them. Cardiovascular disease is a big deal. We see it all the time. One of our own, Mike Sutherland, has just had a death, a very close death to in his family, and is struggling with some of the outcome from that. And this was a young man. This was not an old man. This was a young man. Very unexpected death. No history to tie into heart disease or anything else. Just, like I say, very unexpected. We hear about it of either younger people. I've heard of people, young men in their teens. I'm very glad it's worked for you, April. It's worked for many of us. I find myself occupational life's a bore. You get up, you go to work, you go home. You get up, you go to work, you go home. It does sometimes get in a rut. Sometimes we have to change things up. So let's go to work before we get up. And then about halfway through the day, when we're finally waking up, we hope we didn't damage too much. It's an idea. I might have found myself dozing at work more than one occasion throughout my professional career. Uh, by the way, thank you for all of those that reached out to me last week about my little problem with insomnia. I want to let you know I was able to get some sleep this weekend, quite a bit of sleep this weekend, uh, and it did a world of good. I feel much better. So thank you for reaching out and being concerned. Let's turn this down again a little bit more. It's getting louder and louder and louder. All right. For many of us that have chronic disease or chronic pain, heart disease, diabetes, COPD, neuropathy, trouble with our nerves, like for MS, where the nerves are degenerating, actually. Problems like that. All the many different problems that we have as chronic diseases, we still have to work to do our best to be healthy. And some of those things we take for granted. So I say, number one killer, age 39 and up, is heart disease in Oklahoma County. That's scary. I'm in there. Now, I'm not in Oklahoma County. I am in Canadian County. And we've got several. The numbers look much better for just moving across the county line. Don't really think that makes that much difference, but there are several other things that do. The biggest thing that we can do to be healthy ourselves is take actions whenever we get the chance to improve our health. Sometimes that's our social well-being. Sometimes that's our physical well-being. Sometimes that's overcoming fears, overcoming phobias, little steps, sometimes big steps. But there are things within our community that are very beneficial in doing those. One of those is coming up this week is the medicated hike. And we will be having that. And when you have those chronic diseases, we kind of have to look for things that we get the most bang for the buck, because not everybody has a lot of energy to get out and do things. So when we find things where we can get the biggest bang for the buck, we tend to grab onto those. And I want to assure you that the Full Moon Medicated Hike is a big bang for the buck. We have both physical exercise that is available to all. It is handicapped accessible. The walk is handicapped accessible. All of our walks have been handicapped accessible. That's one of the requirements Billy does, is he plans these things out. Make sure they're handicapped accessible. So if you are wheelchair bound or require walking assistance, it's available. The come out and enjoy the trail. You're not going to have a problem on it. Some of the other things are access, not too far out, not too rough. Had one over in Del City suggested, and that would be it's a nice hike. I don't know that I want to take the hike through the woods in the nighttime, but even with a group of people in some areas of it. But some of the areas that probably don't want to take the hike during the daytime either. But it is a nice area. There are some nice portions of it, and it was a possibility. But this one's much better as far as accessibility, and not quite so isolated in some parts of the hike. So anyway, when those things are set up, we try to get the biggest bang. So let's get a physical workout of whatever type we can handle based upon our needs and our restrictions. Because of our disability, those things that we can do, we would try. Those that we can't, it's okay. So you don't. If you can't, you don't. Plain and simple. We also have the social aspect of the group that will be out there. are all part of the Canna family. All have come out there specifically because of what the event is, and come out to see other friends, to meet new people, to be social in an environment that's open, airy, different from what we normally meet people at. But nobody is restricted or confined. It's open, whatever we need to do to make it happen. These things actually provide lots of opportunity. We can talk with like-minded people. We can talk with others that have similar conditions. We can talk about children. Uh, Several of the autistic parents attend the hikes and they talk about their kids, and that's perfectly fine. Encourage everybody to have those social interactions with other people that have similar or uh, associated conditions, possibly. So these things work on many, many levels as you go out and do them. Now, not everybody can come out and do the hike. That's great. Not everybody can, and that's okay. Do what you can. If all you can do is go out to the mailbox and come back in once a day in the heat, that is fantastic. Do it again tomorrow. Do it the next day after that. Try to see if you could go 10 or 15 more feet each direction. Go past the mailbox 10, 15 feet, turn around, come back. Add 10 or 15 feet every 2 or 3 days. See how you feel. See if you're getting better. If you get a little more distance, you're getting a little more endurance. If you get a little more time out, a little more distance, you're actually getting better exercise. And that's what it's about, is improving our health a little bit here, a little bit there, to the best we can, around the disability that we have, around the disease process that we have to work with. So we continue to do those things on a daily basis and make those choices. So we want to do the biggest bang for the buck. Whatever it takes for you to get to get that bang, that exercise, that outlet to come out, be social with like-minded people, do it. Go for it. How can I help you do it? Uh, Krista, if I need to push you around in a wheelchair, you know I'd do it, hon. You know I would do it just to have your pleasure of talking with you. Veterans got one, the walk and talk. Yeah. Richard, look forward to it, sir. Yes, heart disease is preventable, and one of the biggest ways we can prevent heart disease uh, is by being physically active. Believe it or not, even 30 minutes a day of walking, 30 minutes a day, that's it. Time yourself as you're walking. Get 30 minutes a day walking will actually improve your cardiovascular health. Your cardiovascular health is what we're talking about, the ability of the muscle to beat, the ability of it to be responsive as the body has more or less needs. But 30 minutes does great. It helps work the lungs, it helps works the heart, and it prevents the majority of cardiovascular disease. There's the big one. The second part of that is diet and eating healthy. Uh, and eating a good diet. I didn't say you had to eat a bunch of bland tasting stuff that everybody thinks should be on a healthy heart diet. If you've ever had one of those in the hospital, you know exactly what I'm talking about. No, I like spice. There's no reason in the world I can't have spice. Uh, I have to watch how much rice I eat. Now I have to watch how much I eat, but pretty much I can eat just about anything at this point. I have to be careful in my particular case with carbohydrate intake, but the rest of it is fair game. So bring on whatever spicy you got. Jambalaya, let's go. Big old pot. I love it. Texas red chili. Well, let's go to Trilingual. Let's go eat some good chili. Uh, I love spice. Uh, but I can eat vegetables. Did you know that more than 70% of Oklahomans fail to get one half of the daily recommended amount of fruit intake? One half. Actually, they get about 47% of the daily recommended food intake. That's the average. Uh, Same thing goes for vegetables. Recommended vegetable intake. However, meat and potatoes they get. Don't forget you got to have rolls to go with the meat, potatoes, and gravy. Uh, so yeah, that Oklahoma does get that. That's one of the reasons we have so much heart disease in the state of Oklahoma. Is our nutritional content is not often appropriate. Uh, my son would rather have his teeth pulled than eat vegetables. I've tried. I used to give him SpaghettiOs simply because it had one serving of vegetables per can. So he'd eat SpaghettiOs just because he didn't know the vegetables were in it. But he doesn't do veggies. I can't make him do veggies. Uh, he would sit with a plate all night long in front of him with his head in his hands, staring down the veggies rather than eating them. He just wouldn't eat veggies as a kid. I never could get him to eat veggies, so today he doesn't eat veggies. He falls into the statistics, and it is preventable. We can also do other things to prevent heart disease. We can do things like quitting smoking. Now, I haven't done that yet this time. I did before for 11 years and picked it back up. But let's see how long it lasts this time. We can do that. Exercise, nutrition, diet. And believe it or not, there is even research that goes on to say that by maintaining healthy emotional relationships, you affect the body's chemistry and the production of cholesterol, and thereby its interference in cardiovascular disease. So your cholesterol actually gets better with better emotional health. The happier you are, the better your cholesterol is. Funny things you find out when you start doing a little research. So the biggest thing is we do what we can to be preventative, to try to be healthy. Of course, one night a month is not going to get us there. However, we can do one day a month as a group, and then we can have smaller groups meet throughout the month and work toward it. Anything to keep us active. Anything to keep us active, moving, socially, physically, emotionally. Breakfast in bud sounds like a good idea. Kimchi, yeah, I have. I will. Yeah, not real happy with it. It's not one of my favorites. Uh, I've eaten it. It's hot. I've had some hot kimchi, but it's not one of my favorites. And good food, healthy food is expensive. I do too, Robin. I eat them all the time. Congratulations on quitting tobacco, Richard. Yes, I noticed that. Tobacco. Jonathan Coleman, welcome. Jack Dodson, welcome. Hey, Stormy, glad to have you, man. Yeah, eating healthy is not cheap. It truly is not. I've decided this summer or this winter that I was going to do a lot of work this summer and get off the garden and get it all ready and plant all these seeds so I'd have my veggies for my garden. I thought that would be a great idea because I get my exercise, I get to do all this stuff. Well, I got started and I planted a bunch of seed. And then the monsoon started. And I have found I have watermelons. We had several mounds of watermelons. I used the mounds for watermelons, cantaloupes, melons spread out throughout a big area, and had 2 mounds of watermelons washed away. And now, 30 feet from where my watermelons were planted, I now have tiny baby watermelons growing out in the grass from the monsoon. I've never found where the 7 packages of squash seeds disappeared to. But I got absolutely 0 squash plants. 5 packages of cucumber seeds. I got 2 cucumber plants. And I got my green beans. They all came back. They all came in. So I'm enjoying green beans this summer. Still getting green beans. In fact, I'll be picking a bunch in the morning. So I will have fresh green beans tomorrow night. But trying to eat out of the garden is a lot of work. And having those vegetables, it is a lot of work emotionally, physically, and it's not cheap. Seeds are not cheap. Fertilizers are not cheap. Uh, if you can't do the work, getting somebody to do the heavy tilling work, the prep work, and getting it ready for you, again, is not cheap. Uh, Handyman charge $15, $20, $25 an hour, for putting his kid out there with a tiller to go till your garden for you, and pay the kid $10 an hour to do it, and probably feed him, I'm sure. But uh, it's expensive. It's a lot of hard work, and this year it's not going to pay off. Except I get to say that I had fresh green beans and cucumbers and cantaloupe and watermelon this year. Hopefully, I'll get a watermelon. I've got 1 cantaloupe so far. But I have fresh veggies, and that's how I decided I was going to attempt to have the fresh veggies because I couldn't go and buy them. Money's tight, and I couldn't go and buy them. I had to figure out a way I could try to do it. I have to go and buy them now because I have to eat them, but and I enjoy eating them. It's not I have to. I have to have them for my health. I have to have them. So I will be buying them. It just wasn't what I had hoped for my. I wanted to spend my money on something fun rather than veggies to eat, healthy stuff to eat. Why can't I live on pork rinds and Coca-Cola? That there was a time in life when I lived on that. Soil is not cheap. Exercise, yes, sir. You're welcome, Jonathan. Share, share, share. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate you listening to my rambling today. Uh, Big thing is we have the full moon dedicated hike coming up. Great wellness opportunity for everyone to come out, socialize, get a little exercise, all based upon your ability. Uh, it is handicapped accessible. So even if you need a scooter or a wheelchair to participate, it's there. Let's go. Don't let that hold you back. Uh, However we can get you there to participate, uh, we'll do our best. So, let's see. Move away from fast food. Yeah, but Karen, there's no place to eat open except for fast food at 3 a.m. in the morning, 4 a.m. in the morning. About the only place you have Whataburger, Burger King, McDonald's. There used to be a restaurant at 44th and I-35 that the firefighters would not eat at and advised us not to eat at because of the state of the kitchen. Let's see. That's pretty much all. There's one or two other restaurants in town to eat at 4 o'clock in the morning, but very few places besides fast food. So if you're on that kind of a schedule, that's what you get unless you pack your own. You can't do that. That's a lot of work in and of itself, though, trying to do that. I tried that on the ambulance, and it didn't work so well. You live 20 minutes from fast food. Oh, I wished I do live. Yeah, we have Sonic. That's fast food. Uh, Subway. Subway and Sonic here in town. But other than that, it's 12 minutes to Surrey Hills, 15 minutes to Surrey Hills, and there's nothing in Surrey Hills. So you keep going on down to County Line? Or no, down to almost Council. Almost Council before hit any more fast foods. Yeah, I've got 20 minutes. But the problem is every time I go into town, I have to go past it, going in and out. And then it's all over town. Truck stop, Subway. Subway in the store. Yeah. No, we actually have a standalone Subway here in town with no little truck stop. We have but yeah, I've seen a lot of the Subways in the truck stops. Uh, Love's has a lot of Subways in them. Several Loves, several truck stops besides that have Subways in them as well. I was actually surprised. I saw a couple of nice restaurants in one of the truck stops at Morgan Road, I-40 in Morgan the other day. I didn't actually get inside them. I just looked at what they were, and I knew that they don't usually do what you'd associate as fast food, you know, make as it goes. But I guess that's where it's going. It's terrible. I had to learn how to cook. It's not learning how to cook so much for me as being motivated enough to cook. I can eat and grab and go, and I'm almost always good with that. Just eating, grabbing, and going. I don't have to have a lot of cooked stuff. Throw microwave, cook a meal, leftovers. I'm the one that gets all the leftovers in the house. Whatever it was, I'm the one that eats it because nobody else in the house will eat them. And only one other person in the house will eat vegetables with me, so pretty much I get all those as well. But that's okay. I will continue to do my thing and let them do theirs. Make the opportunity for them available to change their behavior, and should they not, I can't do anything about it. I've done my part. So, another concept for health, we have to be healthy in ourselves. I can't keep beating myself up over the fact that someone else won't be healthy. So, anyway, guys, that I think does it for me for the evening. I appreciate you coming out and visiting with me. We've had a great group tonight. Soil is not cheap from Raymond. Yeah. That's Raymond's coping mechanism. He gets stressed at the world. He goes and gardens. It's a great one. It's a great one. He feels calm when he gardens. It helps him sometimes. So that's great. And you're right, soil is not cheap. I need to go buy some myself, so I understand. All right, guys. Well, live off ramen. Too lazy to cook at home. I know the feeling. I happen to have a couple boxes of ramen around here somewhere. Uh, the kids eat ramen all the time. One of them will just live on ramen alone, but everybody else eats ramen. Unfortunately, again, I like mine spicy, so I have to go down to the Asian market and get the volcano ramen. It's good. It's good. So anyway, well, all right, folks. Good night. Likey, lovey, laughy. Express some emotion on the screen. Share. Give us a share. Send people to watch the videos. Talk about the programs, not just mine, Stormy's, Millie's, and lots of new programs coming, guys. I look forward to talking to y'all all tomorrow, and good night.